Animal control is planning to put him to sleep tomorrow.
I hear crying, but I don't see crying. Not an apology, nothing. Today, we're gonna review a video coming out of Elk Grove, California, involving a lady and her 1-year-old German Shepherd.
Tonight, an Elk Grove woman is fighting to save her 1-year-old German Shepherd.
Yeah, she says animal control is planning to put him to sleep tomorrow, claiming she did not follow guidelines after the dog bit a man it saw as a threat. However, she claims she did follow those guidelines. ABC 10's Jay Kim is getting answers.
This is Zeus. He's a 1-year-old German Shepherd that lives in Elk Grove who's facing euthanization tomorrow.
My baby's like my son. I don't have kids. I don't have any husband. I have nobody.
He's played with both of my dogs. He's played with my daughter. He's very sweet. I just feel it's very unjust.
But what led up to this? It all began back in May when owner Fariel Kabir came home with Zeus after spending time at a dog park. Kabir said when she opened her car door, Zeus lunged at a man who she claims was behind her SUV and bit him. She says the bite didn't puncture his skin and that it was a protective reaction. Kabir says in a testimony to Animal Control, the man said he was taking a walk and claimed he was bitten on both legs. She says she did not recognize him.
The gentleman said that he was bitten, but Zeus's teeth are big, but if he bit anyone, he doesn't do any harm to anyone.
We're gonna go ahead and pause it right there because Zeus's teeth are big, but if he ever bites anyone, he doesn't really cause harm to them. So I don't know how many other people Zeus has bit, but there is such a thing called a pressure bite. Now, pressure bites hurt like crap. It's kind of like when you get your fingers slammed in a car door or in a door in your home. It may not draw blood, but it definitely causes a lot of pain, bruising, and it can suck. So I'm sure what happened here is he gave a pressure bite. This is not a dog that's been taught how to bite, doesn't have a lot of practice biting, doesn't know how to bite and hold or bite deep. So it probably was a pressure bite, but we looked at the report and the gentleman was bit actually twice. He was bit, he tried to run away, and the dog bit him a second time. So we'll dive in a little deeper and find out more about what happened in this case, but I see a lot of what we call alligator tears. You can zoom in real tight. I hear crying, but I don't see crying. So it's not to make fun of the lady, but something seems a little off.
Classified Zeus as a dangerous animal according to Kabir, telling her she had 30 days to comply to a list of guidelines.
The first guideline was a dwelling, and then the second one was you have to have a sign saying dangerous dog or be aware of dogs. So I got the sign.
Kabir claims she followed all of the guidelines, which also included another 8 weeks of obedience training, getting a license that classified Zeus as a dangerous dog, and buying a leash and a muzzle. But when Animal Control returned to do an inspection, they informed Kabir that what they were looking for was a kennel. Officers decided to take Zeus away.
All I could think about is them killing my dog.
So she was actually told to do a number of things. She's supposed to get insurance for the dog. Should it bite anyone in the future, that she would be insured and be able to cover the medical expenses. She failed to do that. She was supposed to get a sign saying dangerous dog. I guess she did that. Congratulations. She was also supposed to get a kennel so that if people were to come over, there was a way to lock the dog up. She failed to do that. She was also supposed to get a muzzle and have the dog leashed on a short 3-foot leash anytime the dog was let out of the house. And also, you probably heard it there, she was supposed to send the dog to 8 weeks of training. Now, I don't think it was going to be 8 weeks of boarding and training, but probably 8 lessons over 8 weeks. It doesn't sound like she did that either. And so now we have a case of a dog that is definitely leash reactive and has some fear-based aggression, and the dog's only 1 year old. So let's talk for a minute about why that might be happening. I think reason number one, poor breeding. We're seeing this a lot in the German Shepherd. We're seeing dogs that are not confident and they're coming out of the womb with major genetic issues. We've been seeing it a ton with the dogs in our program, that basically dogs that are not confident enough, not well socialized, and very quick to react at the end of the leash. In fact, there's a dog in my neighborhood right now that every single time you walk it, not us, but we see it being walked constantly, it's acting like a wild animal at the end of the leash. Straight up fear-based leash reactivity. It's the most typical type of leash reactivity you're going to see is fear-based aggression, and you're going to see it happen again later on when, guess what, this dog actually bites a police officer when they come to get the dog. But there's more to the story, and what happens is she was told to make all these levels of compliance. She failed to do so. They even gave her an extension, an extra 30 days to get this compliance done. Failed to do so. So about 60 days later, Animal Control shows up to do a spot check to see if she's in compliance. Guess what? She's not. And so animal control tells her you're gonna have to surrender the dog because you failed to do X, Y, and Z. Sounds like the most she did was get a beware of dog sign out of all the things she was supposed to do. And now you're gonna see what happens when she, not animal control, but she is handling the leash, if you wanna call it that. The dog is on a harness, and in every video I've seen of this dog, it's either on a harness or completely off leash with zero collar on, zero type of control. So this is a dog that I guarantee you has never ever been told no once in its life, never been put in check, never been corrected for bad behavior. It's just a wild animal that thinks it runs not just the house, but the entire neighborhood and is putting everybody in check. This is bad breeding followed with bad ownership, point blank period. Horrible dog ownership. At many different levels here, she could have got proper training. She could have gone on the internet where there's a bunch of free videos on YouTube showing you how to maintain your dog, how to train your dog, and how to walk your dog on a leash. I bet you when it bit the guy, it was completely off leash, so that was a failure on her part as a dog owner of a dog that's probably at least 75, 80 pounds with, obviously, I'm telling you now, this didn't just come out of nowhere. She knows the dog has some potential to be aggressive towards other people. She should have been a lot more cognizant when she took the dog out of the car, was there anybody around, and the dog should have been on a leash. So there's so many points here where there were failures on her part as an owner to do what she was supposed to do. And now we have a dog getting euthanized when we could have interjected with some balance training and got this dog fixed or at least managed the problem and shown her how to manage her dog, which is a little out of pocket. So now let's fast forward to when animal control shows up and they give her the opportunity to put the dog, because the dog, it's a dangerous dog, period. And so everyone agreed that it would be better for her to take her dog out of the house and load it up into the van. And look what happens here when that happens.
I'm sorry? Oh, I thought you were talking to me. Whoa. Yeah. You okay?
So officer gets bit in his left thigh area. You'll see the damage later. It's not like the worst bite I've ever seen, but it's a bite nonetheless. And so we're gonna rewind, we'll watch that one more time. This camera angle is taken from the body cam of the animal control agent, and we're gonna watch it again and see what happens. This lady is obviously, it's almost like she's used to this. She has almost no reaction when her dog tries to bite the police officer. Not an apology, nothing. And let's see how the dog behaves when someone comes near the glass. Same thing. And let's take a look at the damage.
Yeah.
If you look close enough, it's obviously torn the pant leg of the officer, and when you see it up close, it appears that there's already bruising starting to happen. So you can tell that it was a pretty significant bite, enough to cause pretty much instant bruising. Again, unacceptable, didn't need to happen. This lady's walking around completely clueless. She's got stuff in her hand. She's holding the leash with one hand. Luckily, she maintained some control over the leash, and the bite wasn't worse than that. The dog didn't back down on its own. She had to pull it off, and it's just ridiculous. Let's continue, because we're gonna now hear excuse number 335 out of this woman's mouth about her dog and how it's not the dog's fault and it's not her fault. It's the police officer's fault that he was bit.
All right, well, ma'am, he bit this officer.
Yeah.
Now.
Right here, ma'am.
Because I told you guys, let me take it myself.
You did not have control of the dog.
Let me take it
All right.
myself.
All right. You can call.
You guys didn't
all your stuff,
me.
okay?
She's basically saying this wouldn't have happened if animal control let her take the dog herself down to the animal control building. Well, they did let her take the dog to the animal control van, and look what happened. And again, not an apology, no I'm sorry, let me help you with that, nothing out of her. It's everybody else's fault that her dog's biting people. Now, I understand she's in a little bit of distress. But like, at what point are you gonna wake up and deal with this? If she kept sweeping this problem under the rug, this dog probably started showing reactivity around 6, maybe even 9 months old. Now it's a year old. And by the way, at 1 year old, it's this bad. You can imagine it's only gonna get worse from here. And so, a lot of lessons to be learned from here. Lesson number 1, get your dog from a reputable breeder that's not inbreeding these German Shepherds or any other breed, that you're testing the temperament of both the parents of the puppy that you're gonna get. Guaranteed the parents of this dog dog, just as much shaky genetics. I have no idea where she got this dog, but socialization is key here. The dog, I would tell you, has not been properly socialized. Taking it to a dog park and letting it run around off leash is not the type of socialization we're talking about. When we refer to socialization here at American Standard Dog Training, we are talking about getting your dog well socialized with other humans. Yes, of course, dogs, but other humans, so that your dog knows how to deal with it, so that when it sees someone standing outside of your house just walking by, it doesn't recognize that person as an instant threat and try to kill them for no reason. Also, when a police officer is standing there in the street, your dog, once again, doesn't think anything of it. This dog went from 0 to 100 in about a split second. It's sniffing something under the car. As soon as it notices someone standing there, which is the police officer, it goes from 0 to 100 and without even thinking says, I'm gonna bite this guy. All right, so what's the final outcome with this case? So the dog is taken to animal control, and now they are following the legal process with this. They gave her an opportunity to appeal. A judge reviewed the case and determined that the dog was indeed aggressive, a danger to the public, and that her attempts to appeal and try to save the dog's life would not be recognized, and they're going to go ahead and go on with the euthanasia of this poor dog. All of this could have been stopped. The dog doesn't look like one of those out of control cases that I've seen much worse, is what I'm trying to tell you. The dog could have been saved. These tendencies of the dog could either have been fully managed, maybe somewhat cured to a point, but make the dog actually friendly with other people. That's a lot of me assuming, having not actually met the dog, but you can tell by looking at the dog, it's not a killer. It's just a victim of circumstance. And those circumstances, once again, pointing back to this woman and her failure to, at many points along the way, socialize the dog and get the proper training and use the proper tools when bringing this dog out in public. In the first instance, I don't think she had any equipment on. And in this case, she's walking this big ass dog on a harness, which is a joke. So, moral of the story is, if you're gonna get a dog, whether it's a German Shepherd or any other dog, let's go ahead and make sure we get it properly socialized, properly trained. Make sure you get it from a good breeder with good breeding stock, that these issues aren't prevalent in the genes. And you can avoid being like this lady from Sacramento, and your dog can avoid being put to sleep for biting a stranger, or in this case, a police officer. So, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.